Those dudes are big. Those dudes are fast. Those dudes are built by Built Bars. Coach Ginn using lockdown code 15% off to get those dudes so jacked. If you want to be
his secret. That's his secret.
Can I ask the first question to Coach Ginn
real
quick?
you're going to take me off track, but go ahead. I'll just have to
right
keep
back.
it locked
Coach,
in my mind.
what is a Tarblooders? I was looking up the.
Good question.
What is a Tarblooders? I need to know that.
A robot.
A robot.
How did that
anybody know
become
that?
the school's nickname?
Well, they said, on the railroad, you had a robot.
Oh.
And the blood was from the hands and the tar is from the black is from the tar.
So it's really symbolic of doing hard labor.
Work. That's right.
I love that.
Yeah.
Who came up with that? Do we even know?
I don't know. It was before my time.
When did it become the name? Do we know?
Oh, been years, back in the 40s.
Oh, wow.
Wow. I think that's a great
It is a
story.
great
I love
name.
that.
Yeah.
I'm sure you're the only Tarblooders in the country. And
I don't know anybody.
I mean, because
else.
there's a million
Now I
cougars,
feel like I have to
tigers,
Google
lions,
that.
pirates. I bet you won't find another Tarblooder.
Absolutely.
That's really cool. By the way, congratulations.
Thanks.
I know that you didn't need this to stamp your career as wildly successful, but it is that cherry on top. And congratulations for your team's hard work and everything else. What do we want him to do? Move this mic up? Oh, I see. Yeah. So back to and we're going to get to all of the season and your career and everything else in a second. But while you're here, we're having this conversation. We've had this talk before, and I love to hear from guys that have lived it and have seen it. Can coaches turn their best player, who isn't naturally a leader, into a vocal leader? Can that happen?
Absolutely. You have to build mentality. You got kids and young people that won't even talk, but you got to work at building mentality, and you got to work at building a team. And if you heard me all year, I talked about we got talent, but we still not a team. So I had to work on that. You had to work on that, and you got to have players that is certain expectation we need from you. No matter what your talent is, probably your best vocal guy is probably not your best player, and can be a great leader. But I think you have to build that, and you can build that in players.
Have you had that guy who was kind of quiet on the field vocally, but he was a great player, and you told him, no, I need you to be more, and
Absolutely.
he became more?
Oh, yeah, it became more.
So you've seen it. It
I've
can be
seen
done.
it, yeah.
Is it unfair to ask that of Myles Garrett?
No, it's not. He's a pro, and he's getting paid, and he's a
lot.
professional. It's certain things that you have to give to the people and to the team. No, I don't think that's asking too much.
That's fascinating.
I want to hear what you got to say about the corner.
Oh, man, don't even talk about the corner. What y'all think a corner is? If I'm running the defense, the first thing I'm looking for is two corners.
Talk to him.
You understand? That's where it
starts.
That's where it starts.
Why is that so important?
Because I'm going to play 9 in the box.
So you better have two sticky corners.
And you got to have two. Well, let's talk about Hamilton Dixon and back in those days.
Oh,
y'all don't think those guys was pro corners?
Oh.
That's what made the defense, is your corners. Right today in high school, I'm looking for two corners. Then we'll talk about the D, because I'm going to play 9 at you. See, a safety to me is a linebacker.
Right.
Really?
Oh, absolutely. Especially in high school, man. Come on. Nobody can throw.
See, I can listen to this all day long.
Do you know how good you got to be to throw the ball in Northeast Ohio? It's cold. You got maybe 1 or 2 receivers.
Yeah.
I'm manning up and I'm bringing pressure.
I'm bringing pressure.
If you can hit them throws and you getting hit.
Well, you got.
Hold on now, because it's
So if you got the 2 good corners, then you can throw as much pressure as you want.
Yeah, I'm coming.
Wow.
I'm coming. Safeties are linebackers to me in defense.
Yeah.
You understand? Because if I'm teaching somebody running off tackle, that linebacker from that safety, the free or the strong, whatever, you got your eyes in the ear hole.
Has that always been your philosophy from day one?
Always.
Never changed.
Yeah, well, you look at Marshawn Lattimore and all those guys. Those guys was lockdown corners in high school. So I just think, what's the Sherman guy at San Francisco?
Oh, yeah,
I think he started this off man stuff.
Yeah.
He's funny.
Sherman pressed every down.
Yeah, but because I'm just showing you got to have some guys to lock down out here. And once we do that, hey, we call it razor. Here we come.
Pin back your ears and
Yeah,
let's
we
go.
coming.
Coach, you've had so many great teams through the years, and this year's Glenville team, this is the first Cleveland public school to win the state championship.
Absolutely.
Which is just, it's remarkable that it's never happened. You've had great teams. Was this your best team?
No.
What was your best team?
I can go back to probably when 09.
Troy?
No, it
No.
probably was
Yeah,
Cordell and all those
Yeah,
guys.
LA the Jet on there,
Yeah,
Laquan
man.
Anderson,
Yeah,
there.
all those guys
Shane
was-
Wynn.
Yeah, all those guys was probably the best team.
Jamario O'Neal
But
and Ray Smalls.
it's so many. You know, every team has its own character, but you know, I would say had this is the best team.
Yeah.
It was the best team to stay focused, but it was tough. You know.
Yeah.
And when you talk about football and talk about winning and losing and coaching and all that kind of stuff, it's really not that. It's the spiritual base. You know, the Cleveland Browns lose games because of their spiritual base.
Tell me what you mean by that.
That you got to have a spiritual base in your organization. You know,
Most teams do. The Browns don't.
Well, I'm being honest with you. That's just what. If I'm looking from the outside, you understand?
Yeah,
I
no,
can't
that's-
see that.
Tyvis, speak to that. You've been on a lot of different organizations. A lot of teams have some sort of service on Sundays before the game or prayer session or something.
Yes.
Have you seen
Usually in the NFL, it's on Saturday.
Saturday night?
Saturday night.
And during your brief time with the Browns, did you see that there was perhaps a lack of that thread through the organization?
You know, I was there during OTAs, and I don't recall actually seeing that. It was actually interesting that he brought that up because I actually
this
don't
is
recall.
why I say it. This is why I say it. You don't lose it. Every game that we lose with the Browns is some magical thing.
Weird thing.
Weird thing. So that leads me to what I said. You know what I'm saying? You can't, it's something with a higher power is causing us to lose a game. That's the only thing I can come up with.
Wow.
So I can go back to years ago when you was talking about the best team. I remember we played St. Ed's one year. We was undefeated. And St. Ed's was going in the end zone, and these are real things. And the ball just fell out of the back's hand. On the 2-yard line, we recovered it.
Wow.
Right? The next, when we had to play them in the playoff, the same thing happened to us with Bruce Friesen. Nobody ain't touching.
Mysteriously fumbled.
Just fumbled it.
Coach, I'm curious. Where I grew up in New York City, there was no all the New York. Or I grew up in Brooklyn. All the schools were really big, so there was no separation based on size of the school. It was the city league and the Catholic school league. It was just separated that way. It was no private and public didn't play. Should they do that way in Ohio or no?
No, I think it's competitive that way. You know, I wouldn't say that. You know, I'm not on that type of situation where the Catholics and the public there.
Yeah.
No,
How do
that's
you overcome that huge advantage they have of expanding their drawing pool and recruiting from an area where your hands are tied? You're getting kids from a very small geographical area, and you have to compete against these schools that are going out and getting players
Absolutely.
from
Well,
all over. That is a huge disadvantage, Coach.
Well, it's a disadvantage, but it's not a disadvantage if your heart is in it and you mean what you're saying you want to do. I think it's an advantage for us. Just leave me alone. You know, see, I think they're not fair for the public schools. That's Ocean and everybody else. You give them a free reign. We use that as gas for real. You know, I'm playing teams like that. I'm playing neighborhood. We're a neighborhood team. We're not the city of Cleveland.
Right.
You understand?
Very much so.
So when we go to compete, we playing the city of Miller, the city of
Right.
Lakewood.
Right.
You understand? And St. Ed's, St. Ignatius, they can get from everywhere in the country.
You know what? Hey,
You
Coach,
know.
Coach, I tell you, I'm gonna give you your flowers because I wholeheartedly understand what you're going through and what y'all came from. I went to Camp McKinley. I graduated in 2000, so I played on the state championship teams.
You was the one beat us 72-0.
Yeah, we did.
Get him, Coach.
No wonder. No wonder that. Hey, no wonder that helmet over there.
That's
I
it.
didn't want to say that, Coach.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, that's one thing I don't remember. I remember that.
Is that the worst defeat you've ever
the
suffered?
worst?
I can't imagine you
They
would have.
killed me, man.
But I tell you what.
Get him, man.
How many times did you sack his quarterback?
actually remember this.
I remember that.
I remember. Like, I don't even like that year we was loaded.
Yeah,
but,
you were loaded.
But what came from that was they became the new McKinley. Because after that, we was a public school. When we looked at going to play St. Ignatius, we thought that was we thought that was all we had. Like, you know, we a public school that wanted to play St. Ed's and all those other dudes. Mm-hmm. And I went to college and I came back and my brother was playing in like 2004. He said, I said, who's the nicest right now? He says, oh, Glenville, they coming. And I said, what you click Glenville? He said, oh no, they got. And I looked at the magazines and they had all of the top names and Streets of Smith and all these other places. I'm like, man. And then about 06, 07 hit, and they was playing Ignatius. They was the undefeated team. And so I felt like we gave them the torch and they took it and rolled with it. And they even got the same colors as us staying there. So I just been always excited about the program. And people, if you're a public school, we ain't never trying to get split up. No, we want to play you every week. We're going to play you until we win. And it's and that satisfaction you get when you finally break through, they can't never take that from you.
Oh, yeah.
What do you feel about the competitive balance that they did? Because when I was in high school, what was y'all, D1 or D2?
It was D1.
So,
D1.
So now that it's a competitive balance thing where they switched up all the divisions, what do you feel about that?
I mean,
y'all 4 now?
No, we fought because we don't have kids. See, it's based on the boys in your school. You got to understand, we in Cleveland, Glenville. A lot of people moving out, going to other areas.
Your enrollment has gone down.
Yeah, our enrollment went down, a lot, man. We don't have boys, we don't have kids. Yeah. And that's why we're in D4. We're not in D4 based on talent. We're in D4 based on boys that's in the school.
Coach, what was your first year as the head coach?
97.
Go back to 97, and that's 25 years. Mm-hmm. What's the biggest difference that you've seen in the boys?
Oh, easy. It's just they don't love football. They just play it.
They don't love it anymore. Why are they playing?
Because
a way out?
Because of the way of the world. All the things that's going on today. They don't love football.
Wow.
They just play it. So you have to be love into it. They don't. You got your games, you got your cell phones, you got everything is all speeded up. You can't
too many
do
distractions
this.
now.
Yeah, you can't do that. They got talent, but they don't love football.
Across the board?
Across the board.
That's interesting.
I'm just telling you. Tell me. I mean, and I say it all the time. I had a state championship team, but can I tell you on the team who really love it? Because you love it by what you do every day. I don't see that.
Kids love winning.
That's it. But
so I would imagine that as they're going on and the excitement's building and they're getting a lot of attention, they love that aspect.
They love that. They love the Instagram. They love all that.
That's got to be
You understand?
so annoying.
But they don't love football.
Huh.
Wow, that's
Is that
gotta
frustrating
be so
for you?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. But that's what I work on every day.
Yeah.
You understand? Because if you love football, you're going to do the extra things that it takes, I mean, you got to eat, live it, sleep it, all that.
You dedicate your life.
You dedicate your life. When you go back to them, when these kids were in school, we have practice. After practice, we going to the trainer. After the trainer, you're going to get your milkshake, you're going to get this, you're going to go home and do your work. I take up your whole day.
Yeah.
You understand? Because you don't have nothing to deal with but school and football and training. That's it.
After you won the state title, and we did a big story on Channel 3, and a couple of days later, I was on a weekend, and a guy I didn't know came up to me, and he said, "Hey, I want to tell you something. I saw that you did the big story on basically Coach Ginn and the team winning the championship. I can't remember his name. Tall guy, tall, thin. He said, I wasn't a great player. I played for Coach Ginn. He wouldn't remember me. I wasn't an elite talent. But more, and this is why I said at the opening of the show, as good a football coach as he is, and as many great football players as he's churned out to go to Ohio State and the NFL, he said, I wasn't one of those guys, but he formed me as a man.
Absolutely.
And he's done that for more kids than he's put in the league and in college football. What does that mean to you to know that your real measurement isn't the number of kids you put in college or the NFL, but these kids who have careers and lives outside of that look back to you and say, you were the spark?
Oh, no doubt. That's what it's all about. You know, I'm just a football coach. I'm just a track coach. You know what I'm saying? But that's not the deal. Those are just things that I use as the carrot. You know, I'm trying to teach them and give them the proper understanding of life. You know, you only learn from what you're exposed to. We can go to the board, we can find the angle of the triangle or the circumference of the hole, but what you know how to do, how you know how to live, how you know how to navigate through the world. Where are we teaching that at? You know, and we're not teaching that nowhere. You understand? See, we was blessed to sit at a table, and at that table was your parent. And your parent taught you. We learned at home. You went to school and just obeyed. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But you learn at home. It's no tables in the homes anymore. So you have to become the table. That's the school, that's the football team, that's the track team, and you have to teach and give directions every day. And that's what we try to do in all the programs that I deal with. Glenville football, Glenville track, Ginn Academy. We line up every day in twos. You understand? And we are teaching them how to navigate through the world and what's important, what's not important. I take 300 phones a day.
What do you mean you take them? You collect
When they
them?
when they come into school. This is the biggest distraction in the world.
That's a fact.
That is
That's
so
what's
smart.
that's what's raising your kids. So
What's the pushback from the kids? Do they get used to that? Do they hate it?
Oh, they don't like it, but it's the concept. It's the purpose of why you here.
What benefit have you seen from doing that?
Yeah, the teacher can teach. That's the
There is
benefit.
no distraction. You know what, Coach? I honestly don't understand why that isn't a rule at every school in the United States.
Well, you can't.
Give me your phone.
Yeah, give me your
Have the
phone.
phone out now.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
and a part of the pushback is, I've learned this, because I was going through it when my kids were young and had phones. A lot of the pushback is from the parents. Oh,
Yeah,
no, I need my kid to have that
the
phone, so
parent
I have to
come
get a hold of
in.
them. We used to do it when we were young and we didn't have phones.
The parent will come in and say, "That's my son, so I pay the bill. You and your son and your phone, y'all can go home."
I love that. I
Yes,
love
sir.
that, Coach.
Yes,
So wait,
sir.
at Glenville, every kid has to turn
Well,
in
I'm
their
at
phone?
Ginn
No,
Academy.
at Ginn Academy.
Yeah,
Oh, at Ginn
At
Academy.
Ginn
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean,
Sorry.
I'll send you home with your phone.
I love that.
You know,
You want to be here? You gotta,
because it's taking. See, and this is the young people, and we talking about. You know, it wasn't a lot of voices back. Whatever that kid you was talking to,
Yeah,
they wasn't listening to a lot of people. It was just me.
right.
You know, and everybody that I hired around me, we're saying the same thing. We're raising children.
So structure.
Yeah, but we're raising children. That's what we're doing for real in the sport and everything. We're not here to win. If you want me to win a state title every year, you got the wrong guy. You know what I'm saying?
So what
if
is
it-
your mission statement then? At the beginning of every year, it is to...
It's to win the kid.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? Sometimes football gets in the way of the purpose. You know, and we got to you just a coach. No, I'm not. I'm a lifesaver. I'm trying to be a mentor to this kid every day.
Tell, for those in the audience that don't know what Ginn Academy is, talk about what it is, what you've been able to accomplish, and what you want to continue to do in the future.
Yeah, well, Ginn Academy is the first all-male public high school in the state of Ohio. And
It's still the only one, right?
And the only one.
Right.
Okay. It's an innovative school that, you know, and my curriculum is different than everybody else. My curriculum is love, passion, and understanding. I'm going to love you. I'm going to have passion. We're going to give you proper understanding. Because that's what we lose at. Okay. Math, science, social studies, and English is a requirement for everybody in the world. So we believe in giving kids individual life plans. That means you got to know them all. You got to have a relationship with them. You know what I'm saying? Because you can't educate nobody you don't know. Do you raise your kids the same way? If you got 3 or 4 kids, you treat them all the same?
No.
No. Okay,
Because
so
they're
how
all
can you
different.
educate everybody the same?
What kind of success are you having?
Well, I got 95, 98% graduation rate.
That's great.
And I apologize for the 2%.
Man,
I
I'm
should
getting
have
goosebumps.
100.
Coach, we talked about the LeBron I Promise school in Akron. And I think on a smaller level, particularly at a high school level, that's what you're doing, obviously with a lot fewer dollars and a lot fewer resources. But your mission, because LeBron's mission is the same thing. It's let's bring these kids in, let them know they're cared about, let them know they're loved. And also, because he has more resources financially from corporations, they're giving the family these extended services to help them get out of the plight that they're in. And he's done that with so many families. My question is, why aren't we seeing more? These public schools that get hundreds of millions of dollars are doing it the antiquated way with horrible results. Ain't no public high school in Cleveland have a 98% graduation rate. Why aren't we taking what's working and mass producing that everywhere? I don't get it, and it's so frustrating.
Well, you know, that's a good question. I ask that same question every day when I go to work.
How do we get it done?
If it was based on money, if something is paying 98%, you're going to invest in that.
Yes.
Okay? Well, we paying 98%. Why nobody want to invest in it?
Meantime, the public, I don't know what the graduation rate is for the public schools. I believe it's in the 60s.
Maybe.
It might even be in the 50s.
Yeah.
The proof is in the pudding.
Absolutely.
And I don't understand why we're doing it this antiquated way by default. The definition of insanity, you know, is to do the same thing over and over again and expect different results. You've gone outside the box. You've shattered the paradigm with unprecedented success, yet I don't think enough people know about it. I don't think there is, if I'm the state, I'm going to come in and look at what you do for a year, and then I'm going to go duplicate it in every high school I have.
My question is, do you feel that the people in charge are invested enough in young black men's lives? Because if I'm looking at it like this and I'm seeing 98%, I'm seeing the success rate. If you are a politician, if you're in the House of Representatives, if you're a business owner, if you're a corporation,
City councilman.
do you value what your school brings to the lives of young black men?
I don't think the state cares.
That's
It's unfortunate.
That's a good question. You know, I asked the same question. You know, but I have to continue to do the work that God put me out here, the assignment that He.
Do you have a relationship with Mayor Bibb?
Oh, absolutely.
I think Mayor Bibb is a young, exciting, fresh idea. I think he's the paradigm breaker that we need.
Well, you know, he showed you his hand when he did the parade.
Right.
I never expected nothing like that, you know. So he showed his care for.
What did the kids think of that, by the way?
Oh man, that was
loved
exciting.
it.
I mean, you know, that was the biggest thing I ever
The weather
seen.
kind of gummed things up.
Yeah, but that was the biggest thing I've seen in Cleveland in 50 years. I've
Right.
never seen nothing like that, you know.
Have you had conversations with him about how you take your model or how he takes his model to
yeah.
CPSD?
Oh, yeah.
And I have been to some schools, the Cleveland public schools that I visit. Some get it, some do. Some are trying so hard, but it feels like they're swimming upstream. I'm wondering if Mayor Bibb can be the conduit between you and CPSD to break down these barriers and do things a new and different way.
Yeah,
Is
well,
that coming?
I hope so. You know, we not hiding. We here every day. You know, you can see what we do. You know, we can't stop to complain. We got to keep working and hope that somebody have some love and passion for what we're doing. You know, and see it. I mean, this is over 30-something years that I've been doing this. You
Right.
know, you know. What you want me to say? Yeah. You know, you see the success.
The results are there.
Yeah, you know, I don't know, man. You know, it's what's it. You know, they got the power, they got the money. You understand? I got to keep on moving. I can't.
Yeah. The state
Don't worry
I
about
don't think
that.
the state cares. Unfortunately, I don't think the state cares. Coach, do you often have players, former players, or people from the academy that come back and say to you, I want to be a part of this, I want to help, thank you for everything you did? Is that happening all the time?
Yeah, I get a lot of thank yous. You
Yeah.
know, but I'm not gonna say I get a lot of support. You know.
Right.
You know, they wasn't taught that. They was taught to give back to where you come from.
Right.
You know, give the next guy what was given to you.
You don't see
That-
enough of that?
No, that wasn't what they was taught.
Is there one thing you need that money can't buy that you currently don't have? And that might be it. Maybe it's the older generation coming back.
Yeah,
to lead.
I think that we're not giving and pulling each other up. You know, I think that we get ours and we go.
Where do you think that comes from?
I don't know, the world. You know, because you
Yeah.
weren't taught here.
I,
Yeah,
I
you
think
don't
the
teach
world.
it that way.
No, we don't. You know, and a lot of times people think that you're doing something personally for me, but you got all these children here. God bless you to get out.
You give
understand? And you should give back to them so that they can get out.
You know, Coach Ginn, you know, I think there's people misconstrue stuff. You know, sometimes you can talk and you can come back and give your time and you can give your energy, but in the black community, unless you have economic empowerment to run your programs, to be autonomous, to actually put money back into those resources and those kids, all the rest of it is talk. At the end of the day, you need money to run your programs. And if we think that just because I could come back and say, hey, how y'all doing? I come back in my shiny car and you can look at my jewelry and everything good, right? See, people, the misunderstanding is, it's a problem because you have a son who played professionally. And that's the biggest handicap to when you go out and sit in front of people because they think, oh, well, you got it. Why don't you spend your own?
Right.
Coach Prime is dealing with that right now.
Absolutely.
I might ask you how much resources of your own funds that you put into these places.
Well, you want to start today? Yesterday?
I'm sure it's a
You know,
lot.
it's every day. You know, I got kids that I just got back from Florida Sunday. I took 4 kids to University in Florida to try to get them in school. I ain't have nobody to do that. You know what I'm saying? We was there for 3 or 4 days. You know, it's just amazing, man, just to hear kids say, "Man, I thought palm trees was false."
They've
Never
never
seen.
been
Never
outside
been
of
out.
the
Yeah,
state,
never
some of
seen
them
them.
outside of
You know,
Cuyahoga County.
At the Ginn Academy, you know, it's as a public school, there are restrictions, right, from the State Board of Education as to what you can do and not do in school. Are you able to get around some of those things? Because like some of the state rules about education are just antiquated and flat out stupid.
Well, you know, I'm an innovative
Yeah.
school. That's what, you know, I'm a new and innovative school. That's how I got to school.
But the
You
state
know,
doesn't get in your way?
Not really. You know, I think that, you know, it's things, you know, in the district and things that they don't want you to do. But, you know, some things you have to do
Sure.
to make it work, you know.
Right.
You know, I talk about God, so what you gonna do? You know, you gonna fire me, you gonna, you know, it's just things.
Talk about that, Ted. We've seen it over the years that you know, there have been opposition to school prayer. You
Yeah.
talk about the Browns, you know,
I
not
personally,
having that faith
just to
base.
be fair, I'm not going to be a phony. I'm opposed to school prayer
Yeah,
personally.
I-
I'm opposed to it. But if the kids know going into it that that's part of the school, I got no problem with it. But
how have you seen that aspect of your school change things for you?
I mean, that's what keeps us going. That's the glue.
It is.
Oh, absolutely.
Do you get any pushback from parents? I mean, they know the deal
No.
when they come here,
I don't force kids.
right? And no one
You know,
should.
and
So it's optional. If you don't want to
Yeah.
participate, you don't
You
have,
don't have to.
But we're going to do it.
Yeah, we got it. You know, I got Gospel Tuesday, so
Right.
you understand? So
You
know,
wouldn't want to do what you're doing without that, right?
no doubt. You know, see, we have to get a proper understanding about everything. We all have somebody that we look up to, whatever religion you are. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to go against that. But if you want to be a part of the school, a part of the teams, football, track, these are the things we're going to do. I have FCA every week. That's Fellowship of Christian
Is it
Athletes.
well attended?
Oh, yeah. Well, some of the kids, if you're going to play football, you're going to go track, you got to go to FCA. You understand? So now, whether you believe it or not, that's on you, but you got to go.
You're at least going to
Yeah,
expose
so
them to
so
it.
I have kids that come as Jehovah's Witnesses, there's Muslims, there's whatever. I let them do their thing.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Let me go back to the corner conversation, because I'm
Yeah.
glad you brought it up. And you brought up your son. Do you wish he would have played corner than receiver?
No, he did whatever they wanted him to do. I think that he did well.
I heard he was that deal at corner.
Oh yeah, he was. Well, he was the number one. It was only the two players in high school the year he came out was Adrian Peterson and Ted Ginn Jr. were the two number one players in high school. You didn't know
Wow.
that? Yeah. It was Adrian Peterson on offense and Ted as defensive
How is
back.
Ted? How's he
He's
doing?
good.
Is he enjoying his post life? Does he miss
Aren't y'all
it?
coaching
Where is
together?
he?
Yeah, no, we're not coaching together. He faked me out. Bro.
Oh, really?
He showed up.
Wait a minute. Hold on, Ted, because I just did the Big Ten tailgate with him, and he told me.
Well, he lied to you.
What'd he tell you? That he was
He
helping
said
his
that
dad?
He helped me a
my
little
father's
bit.
doing
He helped for a
coaching.
minute. just thinking he was helping.
But he was busy in his thing. He got his little kids. He got from 8 to 13. They won 2 national championships in Florida.
Said they
So
never lost.
They
ain't
was
lost.
good.
Oh, he's
Well, he had
coaching
a
little
great
kids.
team.
John.
Yeah, he
Coach, I'm
getting
curious,
elite.
your coaching style. Sitting here, you're so soft-spoken. You don't raise your voice. You're very even keel. Take us into one of your practice sessions and into the fourth quarter of one of your heated games. Are you the same way? Are you a shouter?
Pretty much.
How does it go?
Yeah, pretty much. See, I've grown up.
What does that mean?
That means you can't do like the old school
Calm
way.
down.
Right.
You got to
Yeah.
calm down. You know what I'm saying? Because you got different type of players. Years ago you used to could do things in football that you can't do now.
Right.
People tell me now, you got old, you soft. No, I say I'm smart. Because the kids that we have today, if I act like that, you'll be out here by yourself.
They'll quit.
Yeah.
They'll quit.
Especially
won't
because
come.
they don't love it now.
They don't love it. You understand?
I don't like that, though.
I don't
I don't like that.
Yeah,
gotta
but,
adjust
but,
the
but,
times.
but I have a certain way of coaching that they know, and I tell them all the time, I kid around, but I don't play. So they know when I'm kidding. They know when I'm not playing. So I just think that today's time make you change. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It make you change your style. You
Yeah.
you can't do it like you used to. So I don't know, man. I just think that the world is making everything tough for everybody in sports and everything.
We have a video we want to play of a coach that I've always thought was very similar to your style, speaking about you as a man and as a football coach. McNuggets, we can play that.
Well, I've known
Oh my dude.
Ted Sr. for, I don't know, 40 years maybe 38 years, whatever. And, I've always admired the fact that all he wants to do is make a difference in kids' lives. And he wants to make a difference in kids' lives who maybe haven't had as much support as some of us have had. And he spends night and day, all he cares about is helping his kids have a chance to make it, to realize their goals and so forth. And what he's done with that program since taking over at Glenville, and then now his Ginn Academy, and the numbers of kids that he has sent on to have opportunities, and he's miraculous in my mind. There's not many people who have had the kind of impact in not the easiest situation. It's been amazing, the pride that it's brought to our Northeast Ohio area, the pride that it brought to the Buckeyes, to have so many of those kids. There was a time when we did a total compilation of how many yards, touchdowns, interceptions, wins. We did this whole Glenville thing, and I wish I could put my hand on it, because it was thousands of yards and points and victories, and that the Tarblooders were a part of at Ohio State that, I would probably guess no other single high school has had their hand in as much production at Ohio State as Glenville.
What do you say about that?
It's my cat. That's my dude.
You know,
we still like this.
Are you?
Yo, yeah, I talked to him yesterday.
Yeah.
He's going to present me in that Lifetime Achievement Award.
He's your presenter.
Yes.
Wow.
It's amazing with all that's gone on since that he got pushed out of Ohio State for nothing.
Yes.
Essentially.
I'm glad that y'all got
I mean, it's just absurd.
Yeah, it's the worst thing ever. You
Yeah.
know, I don't know how you make that type of decision when, you cost the state a lot of money, because he was great at selling Ohio to
And he loved it. It's in his heart.
It's
And
in his
he cared
heart.
about the kids.
Oh, he cared about it.
Yeah.
So much so that
Yeah,
perhaps some of the things that went on were under his nose and probably knew about it, but now we've got kids making $2
crazy.
million a year.
Yeah.
And when you think of the small infractions that took place that ended his career, I agree with you. It's one of the real tragedies of college football in the last half century.
Really quickly, they voted on the NIL in high school. It got turned
They
down.
said no, sir.
What are your thoughts on NIL? Because we just talked about it a little bit. Some of the stuff that people got in trouble for before is completely legal
Laughable.
now.
Well,
Your thoughts on high school and college NIL?
I think it's. I'm not saying that the kids shouldn't receive some type of money for what they do talent wise, but I don't think their mentality is there to receive that. It's going to make things bad. We already
You
talked
don't think
about
they're mature enough to
they're
handle
not
that?
mature enough. I think you can put it in escrow and then give it to them later.
That's not a bad idea.
Yeah, but if you give it to them now, you're not gonna be able to coach. I mean, can you imagine a kid coming in to Ohio State? They got, and I'm just using Ohio State, and they got guys there that's been grinding forever, and then here's a young kid come in and he got $1.2 million before he even proved himself.
It's going on right now.
Yeah,
And
that's
it's causing
not-
chaos.
It's chaos. You can never have a team. It's gonna be tough. Let the kids that's there earn that money.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But
But the NCAA and the colleges caused this problem because they had years where they could have come up with a more organized solution to it, but they refused to do it, and so it got forced on them, and that's why we're in a situation
Now it
where
is
there's
what
no
it is.
rules. and
but it's
crazy.
not going away. It's gonna
No.
get worse.
No.
They have to rein it in somehow.
I don't know. Well, they need the portal. They need to rein that in.
Right, they
because-
do. That's ridiculous.
Well, let me ask you one last thing before you go. You got another kid from Glenville that's going to Ohio State. Arvell, I think his name.
Arvell Reed.
How is it? What can we expect? Because we need some of that at Ohio State.
Yeah, I think you're gonna get a different mentality.
Okay.
He's a 4'5" kid that's 6'4", can run. He'll strike you. And but then at the same token, we have to give a different mentality. Which that's my responsibility to put that in him before he go here. You're not going to Ohio State. You're not a regular guy. You know what I'm saying? When you go there, you're a different dude.
Yeah.
Because you come from Glenville.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I'm saying?
You know what I'm expecting.
Oh,
So
that's right.
I need him to come on and perform.
That's right. So, Dave was there yesterday. So I set him down. I said, I don't expect, and I think I had like 6 kids in front of him. I said, all 6 of them should be at Ohio State. Now, whether you believe it
I
or
think
not.
you got a corner too. That's supposed
Yeah,
to be
and I got a tight end, the best in the country.
Okay.
You understand? And I got an offensive lineman. And I got a tailback. You know what I'm saying?
He actually selling his people.
Bring it on down.
Because there's a lot of
What
there's a lot
position
of
does the
coaches
kid
that
play?
stay
The first
doing
kid you
that.
mentioned?
Linebacker.
The linebacker.
Oh, he's a linebacker.
Oh, yeah,
But
they need that.
I think
that's what I'm saying.
I think he'd be a defensive end though.
Oh, you think so?
Oh yeah,
They
he come
gonna
off his
put
hand.
that weight on
Coach,
him.
Yeah.
we just have a minute. I could keep you all day. I've got so many questions. 2 quick ones. Did you ever think about college? I'm sure you had opportunities. Why did you always stay?
No, because Cleveland is where my heart is, and the kids here need me.
I thought that would be the answer.
But I had a job offer in McKinney, Texas.
Really?
Yeah, and they flew me there. I went in the interview like this, and when I got up, I said, I don't want it. That was $100,000 back in 2006.
Which was money back
Yeah,
then.
and
That
and that was big time. And then I had just coached. Tebow was my quarterback. I coached the East West also
Yeah.
U.S. Army All-American game, and Beanie Wells was the tailback.
wow.
Shoot, I wasn't doing nothing different.
Run the rock.
One last question. My son is the track coach at Rutgers.
Okay.
And I know he watches this every day, so he'll love to hear your advice. And also for all the other young folks that are either in coaching now or thinking about getting in coaching, regardless of sport, what's the number one piece of advice you would give to those that want to be or are young coaches?
Well, first of all, you had to learn how to coach each kid individually. You understand? You got to get to know your kids because, once again, they don't love track either. They don't love football. You got to give them the right understanding about being a professional. Now, I call professional high school players. You know? And now it's really getting to be that with this NIL stuff.
Sure.
You know, so you got to love the kids, and you got to have, you know, you want to win. But I'm going to tell you once again, if you don't have a spiritual base in this situation, you're not going to win.
I love it.
You're not going to win.
Coach,
Thanks,
thank you
Coach.
so much. We could spend hours with you.
Yeah.
Teddy Ginn Sr., would you